Good morning, church family. Welcome home and thank you for celebrating with us this morning, online or in person. A few announcements before we begin our service. Please note that there will be no home league this week. For our teens and young adults, mark your calendars for our Teen and Young Adults Night, Friday, October 15th at 6 p.m. Men's Camp. If you're interested in attending, please speak with Lieutenant Jesse. It will be the last weekend of October. You do not want to miss this great opportunity. Please mark your calendars for these upcoming events. Wednesday, our adult Bible study is back. Come join at 5 p.m. here at the Fellowship Hall. Thursday is Troops in the Fellowship Hall at 4 p.m. Saturday will be Men's Discipleship Breakfast at 8 a.m. And thank you all for joining us and welcome home.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing this morning? Wonderful. We are now going to enter in a time of worship through song. So if you're able to stand with me, join me. And I just want to remind you that God meets you where you are. So however we worship, we just welcome you. This first song is a hymn called Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. I think the last time I did this, I was a child, so bear with me. We are only going to be singing the first two verses, and just follow along on the screen. The words will be right up there. Weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God, He will never fail. My God will never fail. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will win. I'm not backing down from any giant. I know how this story ends. Yes, we do. I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Let's sing that one more time. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't turn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't turn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Amen. You may be seated.
In our time of giving, we're going to just thank the Lord for all he has done for us. And let's just pray. Gracious Father, thank you who you are. Thank you for your grace to us. Thank you for your goodness and all that you have provided. We look to you for your constant blessing upon us. And we return to you a portion of what you've given us, that your work may go on in the church and in our country, and you continue to watch over us. We thank you now in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Please join me and stand as I read the scripture today found in Matthew 25:31 through 41. When the Son of Man comes, his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another, just as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or without clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "I assure you, whatever you did for one of at least these brothers of mine you did for me. Then he will also say to those on the left, depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. God bless the reading of this word. Amen.
Good morning. That wasn't very loud. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. You know, the Lord tested me already this morning. I was just getting up, and my routine is go out and feed the fish, I feed the cat, I feed the dog, then I have my breakfast. When I went out to feed the fish, I noticed some sticks floating in the water. And early in the morning, my dog was barking, and he usually barks at skunks, cats, whatever's walking around the backyard. Well, this morning was my homeless friend that I had evicted, and he's walking around my backyard. And so I had to contend with that this morning. And it was okay. He was misunderstanding. I wanted a job for him to do, and he just thought he'd come in the middle of the night and do it. So, anyways, I've been preparing this sermon, and after I got, can you put the picture up? On Facebook, I received this picture, and when I looked at it, you can pray all you want, and I'm a prayer warrior. I have a prayer team, and I've always done this. But when you pray, but evidently, David had to pick up his stone and act against Goliath. And the first thing I thought, that's before Jesus. Because Jesus would never pick up a stone. Jesus was always with the poor. He was with the prostitutes. He was with the woman at the well. He was always for the poor, the downtrodden. So that brought me to today's sermon. And once I find it, you know, whenever I see a preacher, I always count the pages, how long it's going to be. We won't be that long. But this is Jesus speaking. And chapters 24 and 25, he's getting his disciples together. He's at the Mount of Olives, and he's talking to them, preparing them. They thought their kingdom was going to be here on earth, but he's preparing them and telling them the kingdom is not here on earth, it's there. So 24 and 25 has a lot of parables to it. Now, this is talking about the second coming of Jesus. There's a lot of things in the Bible about pre-tribulation, post-tribulation, and all that. I'm not going into that. I'll let Lieutenant talk about that. But this is the second coming of Jesus. He's telling them he will be back, and here's what's going to be going on. So we get involved with our computers. We get involved with our daily life. We hardly, even in my talking, we hardly talk about the second coming of Jesus, that he's coming back. I can't remember the last time I really sat down and talked to somebody about this. And I don't know for your lives if you have mentioned Jesus coming back, but he was telling them, let me go back to chapter 24. He's telling them, laying out the conditions of his coming. He's saying in 24 verses 6 and 7, that there will be wars and rumors of wars. One nation will rise up against another. Wars, famines, and pestilences. We do not hear much about these things, but just look at our southern border. A lot of people are coming because this is happening in their country. They're trying to escape these very things that Jesus is talking about over 2,000 years ago. We do not think about these things unless they directly affect us. Now, we talk about the wars, and I looked at this. The latest statistics tell us there's 4 major wars going on right now in 2021. We're over in countries that have lost over 10,000 lives. Mexico has lost 34,000, Afghanistan 41,000, Yemen 19,000, and the Tigray War in Africa 17,000 lives just this year in 2021. Okay? They list 18 other conflicts that over 1,000 have lost their lives this year. Over 18 conflicts. That, I hardly turn on the TV in the evenings. I don't hear about these things. I don't know if you've heard about them, that 22 wars going on. How do they affect us? The only thing we see being affected is the ships in the harbor that's not bringing in the toilet paper, right? That's how we're affected. I was in the store the other day, Bel Air, and the paper products, but the shelves were almost bare. The paper towels and the toilet paper just weren't there. And I don't know why that's the first thing to go, but people stockpile it. So anyways, that was about the war. Famine. People are not getting enough food. Now, I haven't missed many meals. In fact, I had to order a new shirt and these lapels things because I got heavier. I gained 26 pounds in 2 years. The last 2 years, I gained 26, and I got to know I'm losing. But I haven't missed many meals, you can tell. But there are people here in Auburn that have. Just go drive by DeWitt Center. You see those people in the tents. You wonder where their next meal is coming from. You know, there's over 100 beds at the Gathering Inn. And they're busy. I mean, they're filled every night. Every night, 100 people in there. And I just happened to drive by yesterday and looking for my friend Red Crow. And when I drove by, there's families in there. There were people in wheelchairs. There were people, they're outside in the sun, warming up in the sun. But I was amazed that I thought would be more of the homeless, more of the single population. But I was surprised to see other people mixed in there. But again, look at our southern border. Those people are coming in because their country has got famine. There's no meals. So, and then we go to pestilence. Pestilence are diseases. Well, we got one major one now that's killed over 700,000 people here in America. So I looked also up that heart disease. So far this year, 659,000. Cancer, 599,000. Then the list goes on. But you see, we're almost in the end times. If you look at what Jesus is saying and you're looking at what's going on now, it's almost there. You know? So I'm not saying exactly, because the Bible tells us, I got one other thing, earthquakes. On the average, there's 16 earthquakes every year major earthquakes across the world. So far this year, from January to May, there's been 8 that are over 7+. And you see that Turkey had one that knocked down some buildings. A lot of the countries, there's death and devastation being done by these earthquakes. So, but the Bible tells us in Matthew 24:36, and I got that marked here, that we don't know the day nor the hour. 24:36. But of that day and hour no one knows, no, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. As for the days of Noah were, and also the coming of the Son of Man be, as in the days before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will be the coming of the Son of Man. So we don't know the day nor the hour. It just says be prepared. So when I was a Boy Scout, it was always be prepared. That was the motto. So today's scriptures, Jesus is telling us that we should live our lives to inherit the kingdom of heaven prepared for us. Now, I'm going to read that again because there's, I'll just tell the 6 points I'm going to be talking about today. Because when he separated the sheep and the goats, he put the sheep on the right-hand side and he told them these 6 things that I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Those 6 things I heard this. This is back in the late 80s. We were in the process of leaving, matter of fact, early 90s. We was leaving a very legalistic church, and my wife was working for the Salvation Army here as a bookkeeper. It was a outpost at that time, around the corner on Hemlock, around by the thrift store used to be. That's where we started before we bought this church. The Salvation Army bought the church here. This was a Baptist church back then. So anyways, that's not in my notes. But when I was coming home one night, this is kind of funny, I was going to Bible college, not for ministry. I was working for AT&T at the time. I had a good job. But my wife was smarter in the Bible than I was. So just to catch up with her, so we could have good discussions, I was going to Bible college through Capital Christian Center down in Sacramento in the evenings. So one evening I was coming home, I was listening to the Christian radio, and I heard this preacher talk about these 6 things. And he says, you go home and you go to your church and you ask your pastor, why aren't they doing these 6 things? Because Jesus says, if you don't, they're going to be a disaster. So I came home and I got my Bible out and I said, what are these 6 things? I only caught the tail end of his sermon. So I turned it and looked it up, and I read these things. And then it was that night that I decided I'm going to go to the Salvation Army because they're doing these things. They're doing these things. Let me just turn the page here. So after I read that, we called this church I was going to. There was one friend of mine, I'll call him Super Christian Ed. Super Christian Ed was a good friend, but he was so legalistic that it would turn people off to talk to him. That was a spirit-filled church. They spoke in tongues, and I remember him trying to get one new member, speak in tongues. You got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. And that member was just having trouble doing it. He just couldn't speak in tongues. And Super Christian Ed was getting really upset. He was getting to the point where he was angry. I thought, wow, that's not Christian being angry. And another time, I was talking to this Oriental guy, very nice guy. He died just a couple months ago, a friend of mine. And Super Christian Ed comes walking by, and he sees me talking. I had the Bible in my hand. He says, throw the Bible at him, throw him, hit him hard. And I stood there like, what kind of Christian attitude is this? This is not the loving Jesus that I knew, or I know about. So anyways, I recalled Matthew 7:21. I'll read it off my notes. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me that day, Lord, Lord, had we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I would declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. So I was really woke up at that time that, whoa, I would prefer a church that was loving and handing out things and doing things the will of the Lord. So I was really amazed. So now we're talking about RAK. What is RAK? Anybody know? It's known for random acts of kindness. Okay? Random acts of kindness. And I have developed a habit of doing random acts of kindness. I don't have much money. I'm not rich, but I'm not poor. I mean, the Lord takes care of me. I'm doing okay. But we can't be doing in these scriptures, we can't be doing all 6 things at the same time, just like the fivefold ministry in the church. You can't be everything to everybody. But you can pick out certain things that you can do yourself. The Lord says, use your talent. Use your talent. So you can use your talent. And like I say, we can't be doing all of them, but that's why we are family. We are to give our heart to God, our hands to man. You can help in the food closet, like Carolyn. Carolyn's been doing that for 15 years now, right? Richard does the packing lunches for the homeless lunches. He comes in a couple of days a week. John counts money. You help count the money Sundays. I can look around here and see other jobs that other people are doing. Priscilla, you teach in the hall some days, right? Huh? Oh, Denise, I'm sorry. I've known Denise for years. I mean, she was in the school district when I was teaching at Rock Creek, so I'm sorry, Denise. What did I call you? Priscilla. Okay. I'm sorry, Priscilla's not here, so I'm forgiven. I'm sorry, Denise.
We're both sweet.
Okay, there you go. But these are the people here. Oh, even Ellen. Ellen just spoke up. Ellen, how many years have you been in the kitchen and doing all that for the church? 23 years, so amazing. Let's give these people a hand. Random acts of kindness. You can do it daily, weekly, all the time. You'll be serving God as well. The book of 1 Peter 10, God has given each of us special abilities. Be sure to use them to help each other, passing on to others God's many kinds of kindness, many kinds of blessings. There are many opportunities to see God as you serve his family, our children, his children. So there's many, many things. All you have to do is just ask the lieutenant, what do you need done around here? I mean, we've done different things in the past, planted plants around the sign. We've done many work parties in the church and out on the neighbors. So just talk to the lieutenant. But I must warn you that you also, just like this morning, you run into people that aren't so happy. They're lonely. There are a lot of problems out there. Some people are out there to get what they can by scamming people. Of course, you probably see a lot over the phones. But also people that are out there, they have mental problems. They have a debased mind that can only be helped by the professionals. I've tried to help many of these, and there's times I just have to give up and say, Lord, touch them before I do. But anyways, Lord, I just give them to you. You know, I've tried, and some of you know my story, some of you don't, but I tried with the homeless. And many of them are out there because of bad decisions, maybe financial, and some of them are out there through no fault of their own. I had a friend that had her house, and the landlord is going to sell the house. So she became homeless. She was sleeping in a car just because she had no place to go. And Auburn is, well, you guys have been here a long time, probably longer than I have. You know the homes here and the situation, it's very hard for a newly married couple to buy a home now. The homes are in the low end, like in the low 400,000, you know, to buy a home. Even to rent, $2,000 or $3,000 a month. So it's very hard for anybody new to get that, and they end up living with parents or living in the car. I knew one couple that was doing that. So I'll tell you about Linda. Linda, she came to me because she needed a place. She had no job, no car, no money, but in that situation, we got her a job. Within 3 years later, well, within a year, she had a job and a car, and 3 years later, she was able to move out. She's doing good. Matter of fact, I had lunch with her at Mom's Kitchen Friday, touching base with her. She's doing good. So she just needed a lift, to get out on her own. Others, not so good. But they kept their own lifestyle and would not improve. So that's not up to me. It's up to the Lord. I just jumped a whole couple pages here. That's good for you. I don't know what happened to that page. So anyways, I'm going on with another story in my life. One day my son came home from high school. He was at Placer High, and his friend Ben was a foster kid. And when Ben turned 18 in March, he's going to graduate in June, but in March, his foster parents kicked him out because he turned 18. And they don't get the money anymore. They had to make room for another one to come in. So my son comes home and said, Ben is spending the night at the detention center in town. That's where he's sleeping at night. And my wife says, that's not right. He says, I'm going down there and do something about it. She went down and brought Ben home. And we have a 3-bedroom house. We had 2 daughters in one bedroom, 2 sons in the other bedroom, and then we had the master bedroom. Well, he slept on a mattress in our son's room. Only 3 or 4 months. He was there from March until July. He went in the Marines. He joined the Marine Corps. So he was no problem at all. He was a very quiet guy, did good, joined the Marines. Well, about 3.5 years later, we were having Christmas dinner, and we had some friends over, and the doorbell rang. And I'm looking around the table to see who's missing. And my wife got up because her chair was closer. She got up to answer the door, and I heard this young man say, "Hey, Mom, I'm home." I go, "Who the heck is that?" In walked Ben. He had married and had a baby. And I thought, it really touched me that 4 months made a difference in his life. That it was an honor to be called Mom and Dad by him. So, of course, we all moved around. He joined like one big happy family. So you never know when you reach out and touch somebody what's going to happen years later, okay? What's going to happen years later? One thing just came to mind. I had a translator over in Czech Republic, and this translator always called me the old man. I was in my 50s, okay? I was in my late 50s then. And he's telling me a story about a guy that was 45 years old. And I said, "Petter, how old was the old man?" He says, 45 years old. Then he looked at me and says, "Oh, sir, are you older than 45? So last year, Petter turned 45. We still correspond back and forth on Facebook and email. And I got back to him and I said, "Yeah, I heard the story a long time ago about an old man that turned 45. Aren't you 45 now?" So I got to rub it in. But he became a Salvation Army officer. He's at the international school in London now. And he, again, using his talent, he is translating the training manual into not Czech, but the language that the gypsies use. And he's going to be training gypsy pastors now for the Salvation Army in London at the training college. So, he's doing good. And again, it was just my translator. He just followed us. And when I left, I suggested that he take my place. His directors of a hostel, a homeless shelter over there, and he did good. So you never know what's going to happen. So random acts of kindness, they go a long way. As you see the fruit of that smile, a good word can do. It's amazing. The flowers that come in on Tuesdays, I take those and drop them off at old people's. I take them to the hospice, different places. And I cannot tell you, I get gratification from that. I love to see these people smile. I was, tell you a story here. I was at Bel Air Shopping Center and picked up some stuff because some days I zigzag dropping these flowers off. Then I end up in Lake Wildwood and give the rest of them to my wife who lives there. And so I always call her and say, what do you need? And she'd tell me baby food or whatever she needs, and I'll pick it up at Bel Air before I head out. Well, I was at Bel Air's market, and next to me was this old lady in a car. This was in July. It was a very hot day. She had her window down, and her family was inside shopping, and she's there by herself. So I opened my trunk, and I put my groceries in there, and I saw a bouquet of flowers, and I just got 2 bouquets, and I went over there and said, here, would you like some flowers? I didn't know from Adam who she was. She looked, and she just lit up, and she said, these for me? And I gave them to her, and as I put the cart away and I got in the car, her daughter or somebody was getting in the driver's seat and asking her, where'd you get the flowers? And I was just getting in the car and I drove off. I was laughing. Her daughter probably went, that man gave them to me or whoever. But anyways, she lit up like a light bulb. So it was gratifying to me to do small acts of kindness. It doesn't cost much. It doesn't do much. But this is a good quote I got from John Wesley. Do all you can, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, all the time you can, to all the people you can, as long as you can. Right? As long as you can. These small acts of kindness, that's all it takes. You don't have to preach the gospel. You just, you can tell them, you know, a lot of people know I'm Christian, but I don't mention Jesus lots of times. I'll say things like praise the Lord or something. But Jesus told his disciples, this is how you're going to be distinguished. You are going to be distinguished by the love you have for one another. The purpose of life is not to be happy. You know, happiness, I found out, you can be happy because you got extra money in your paycheck, but then the next day when you spent that money, you're not so happy. But joy is an internal thing. You can be joyful all the time. I try to be. I mean, there's, like this morning when I saw this person in my backyard, you know, I thought, wow, what is he doing here? And my first thing was attack, right? What are you doing here? What's going on? But then, this is what I'm preaching on, is being good to the lonely. You know, so I said, Lord, you're funny. I'm preaching on this today, and here you are giving me a confrontation first thing in the morning. So I know my blood pressure went up a little bit, but I know this guy, and I know he has problems. He talks to himself all the time. He has problems. But anyways, I handled it. He'll be back at 2 o'clock, and hopefully I can work with him there. But again, this is a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it in some difference that you have lived and lived well. And I heard a guy on TV the other day talk about his purpose in life. And I said, I just want the space I took up here on earth to be a good space, not to be a dead space. And I thought, well, that's what I'd like to do someday, is when I leave, that people say good things about me, not that I took up some space unaccounted for. Again, doing random acts of kindness is to be useful, honorable, and to be compassionate. Let us do it with ability of talent that God has given and supplied each of us with. And all these things, God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. Amen? Amen. I can't say enough about that. So, as we leave here today, then I think she's sleeping. You can start the music. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. I'm sorry. Apologize. Acts of kindness, right? I'm sorry. So doing acts of kindness. As we leave here today, let's leave with a grateful heart and a giving heart. Love those who are less fortunate than yourselves. Use your talents to serve the living and true God, the Lord Jesus Christ and his people. Amen. I can't say enough about that. it makes a big difference in everybody's life if you're, well, that was one of the pages I missed. This is saying, where do you start? And the pastor, I was watching this, the pastor said, start with the people in front of you. Right in front of you. Start with your family if they're right there in front of you. If you're standing in a line at the store, just be nice to people. Don't say, hurry up with the, I'm on my lunch hour like some people say or whatever. But start with the people right in front of you, then expand out. But make your day a joyful day, a giving day, a compassionate day. And like the Lord said when he separated the sheep and the goats, they said, when did we do these things? When did we see you naked? When did we see you hungry and thirsty and stranger? He said, when you've done it to the least of these, you have done it to me. And that's awful hard sometimes when you see somebody who's laying there in his vomit and everything else to treat him, like a human being. Sometimes I just want to pass that guy by and just said, well, let him sleep it out and see what he looks like in the morning. But be compassionate. Be compassionate. A lot of these people are out there because no fault of their own. And some of them, like I say, they have mental problems, and that's a big thing now here in Auburn is a mental, across the state, mental problems is a big issue. So, and one of my favorite songs always says, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice in it. And that's kind of like my favorite song I sing to myself. That keeps me happy. And so thank you for being here this morning.